You're
Does
in
that
good
answer your question, Drew?
you're in good hands now.
All right, I think so. I think so. Okay. So I think that most of you have probably seen that we have posted for a social media person. Um, I tried to put an ad on Indeed. We do have a LinkedIn account. Actually, and I would appreciate any of you that are on LinkedIn. Please go and like and share our page. I don't know who started it. I'm going to guess Ian, and we had about 5 people on there. I think that networking is so important within our community. We now have about 40 people on there. Every day, I probably take 5 minutes and just go and invite as many local people as I see that pop up. And we're getting invites from all over as well. And I share all of our stuff, our minutes, our YouTube. Um, it's a good resource to just network within other nonprofits within actually within the US. We have people on there that aren't even in Oregon. So I tried to put an ad in there, but since we don't have at Wicker Community Council as our domain, and it's a Gmail domain, it will not let us put an ad on Indeed. Briandra?
I did that this morning. So it's loaded on Indeed and it's working really well.
How did you do that? I put it on LinkedIn.
Well, I have an Indeed account, so I just created a job posting space and it worked great. So I think I've already have about 12 resumes. So
Fantastic.
Indeed is the way we found our last person. So I think that's between the LinkedIn and that we're good. We're rolling. So
Great. And I put it on all of the, help wanted and all of that. So that's what's happening with that. There's some dates on there. If you just take the time, you can go to LinkedIn, you can find it. It's all over. I actually found an ad, just a page that says Whitaker Community Council is hiring a social media director. And I would imagine that somebody made that during COVID, and all we did was just change the description at the top. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, we did owe Moxy Accounting. If you all remember, we still owed them. I printed it out somewhere. Now I don't know where it is. We owe them $800 and something for taxes. Drew went through the 2021 taxes that were still not filed and found several mistakes. And so we sent those mistakes to them and said that, we need for them to fix them. I CC'd the lawyer, did all of that. They said that they were very sorry and that they would just call it good and write off the money that we owed them. And so we are no longer, we don't owe them any money, but our taxes are still not filed. So based on, Drew, do you have on hand right there how much we did owe them? Was it $891?
No, that sounds right. I don't have the exact figure, but it was about that.
So I would like to make a motion that so Andrew's contract, he's contracted to do the 2022 and 2023 taxes because we were already doing the 2021. Well, hold on one second there. I see ya. I just would like to make a motion that since he's already done the work, he went through, he found the mistakes, he's cleaned them up, that we pay him whatever the difference was that we owed Moxy Accounting, which I believe is $891, that we just paid Drew that for filing and completing our 2021 taxes. Ken?
A procedural observation is that I don't believe we have a quorum. I'm counting members. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No.
We're only missing Gail and Thea. Oh, and Mark.
Well, I know, but we don't have.
We're missing Gail, Thea.
Okay, what's our total? What's our total number of board members right
I
now?
think 8. That's it. There's not very many.
Okay, then a quorum is 4 plus 1 then, so it's 5. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we have a quorum.
I
Yeah.
think it's actually 9. Let me count again. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Okay.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Okay, so then a quorum would be 5.
So we
Okay,
have
so
5 right now?
We do. Yes, we do.
Great. Thank you very much. So do we have a second to that?
Second.
I'll second that, yeah.
Do you happen, and Dan, in front of you to have the exact number so we can vote on the exact number that it is?
I don't have it, but you know, the number that was just quoted sounds very familiar to me. So I think that's approximately, I think we can vote on it.
So are we good at Drew, are you good at getting $891 to complete our 2021 taxes?
That works for me.
And I will, just for notes purposes, I'll find the exact balance due. I see an email here that it includes an invoice attachment from
Correct. And if you look at the bottom, how much is left on the bottom?
$875.
Okay, so $875 is what I sorry about that, Drew. So
I'll
I
survive.
would like to change my motion that we pay the balance, which is $875 to Drew. He's already done most of the work to clean it up. And that we go ahead and pay that to him once those taxes are filed. And we have a second. All those in favor? And Saoirse, you said that you're here. So can you put something in the chat? Oh, her hand's raised. Okay, fantastic. That's a yes. Fantastic. So that motion passes. All right. So real quick, and we need to decide what we're gonna do here. I've emailed with the lawyer yes? Did I interrupt somebody? Okay. So upon doing lots of research, and I'm sure you'll all understand what I'm talking about, if we want to try to recoup any of our money that we've spent on financial things, it has to go to civil court. Our lawyer does not do that. They won't represent us. We have to represent ourselves, or hire somebody else to do it. It will cost us a large amount of money. So what I propose and what we already voted on is that we just pursue and have papers filed with the state's attorney. And who else is it? I'm a little tired. I've tried to get a nap.
I think it's the Oregon Department of Justice.
Right, and the state's attorney, there's several, right?
Secretary of State.
Right, so and we already voted on that. So basically, I guess I'm just saying that, and we talked about what we were going to do for the any outstanding balance. It will just cost us a ton of time and money. So is everybody okay with just leaving it as it is and having those papers filed just regarding work ethic?
Margaret, could you remind us of the amount of money we're talking about?
You know, we didn't really, that never came to determination, because that would mean that we would have to go back and also spend time. We would have to pay Drew to go back and figure out exactly how many hours were put in, how long they were logged in. I mean, it's a big, huge project. And I did find out that regardless of whether there was a contract or not, and regardless whether we approved it as a board or not, it was approved by the previous chair, and therefore it's legal and binding. So it would be a civil matter. So I say we just, I put a lot of, I put the first 6 months. I bet I have 500 hours in on that. Yes, true.
So when we were talking about this more in the past, I had done some independent investigation and to figure out how much billing had happened and how that billing had happened. And of the total almost, whatever, I came up with $15,700 as self-paid, not through any seemingly approved method, that is just self-drafting the bank account because said individual had access to account routing numbers and could set up an ACH transfer for herself. So that's the figure I've kind of come to based on her total billed hours. It's 15,700.
Right, but how much of that was actually earned is I think what he's asking, and that would be a whole nother.
That's a rolling balance, hard to
Correct.
discern. Looking at audit logs, activity logs within QuickBooks is one way to go about this, and you get some detail there, but not a whole lot in terms of somebody logged in on a certain day, but in a gist of what activities happened, but not a significant amount of, okay, these things for this amount of time.
So you know what, I'm excited about the fact that we are going to just move forward here. I think it's time that I highly suggest that we just move forward. We have the lawyer file whatever papers they're going to file, and we're done. That's it. Let's have a fresh start. We have some exciting things happening, and we're building a great organization with a foundation where those types of things will not happen. We've already spent so much time on this. I have. What's up, Dan?
Oh, it's because you have spent so much time on this, and it is such an egregious taking of funding from the WCC. And my only question is, and maybe this is for Doriander to answer, and you also, Margaret, how does this impact, or does it actually impact any of our grants? It certainly does impact our overhead budget, our indirect budget, because the approximate 10,000 that she took improperly does come out of something. And so what does it come out of? Where does the loss come from?
I believe it came out of our general funds. And Doriander, am I correct? And Doriander and Drew both did they worked very hard on tying the last grant up, and I believe it's finished, right?
It is, and the advice that we received from our person at the Oregon Center for Nonprofit regarding best business practices in this case was that we had to omit the amount, any amount that was self-drafted without board approval from our final expenditure sheets that closed out our 3-year grant biennium. So that money we just absorbed as we couldn't write that off as an expense because it was under our error that money moves.
So we had to eat that as overhead.
Correct. And right now we're putting it on video and we're talking about it, and we are laying a foundation that does not happen anymore. And I will say again that, I mean, Drew is doing a fantastic job. Doriandra can't say enough great things about him. I know that I get answers that I need when I need them. And that's all the more reason for us just to stay on the road that we're on. And is everyone all right with that? I mean, we don't need to vote. We already voted on moving forward with the lawyer and the other things. I think, Dan, it's just about whatever you think. Because I think everyone else is on the same page.
Okay, I get it. So my questions then are, as the treasurer, and to wrap this into a nice package and tie it off. So we're going to let go of the civil matter, and we're going to still pursue the DOJ complaint.
That's correct.
My question about the DOJ complaint is, will it include Delenia Cardona for approving these?
I don't know. We'll leave that up to the lawyer, I say. And
Well,
we'll do that.
I think Delenia left us in the lurch here.
Yeah, well, this isn't about her. And
right? It is actually.
Yeah, but I don't want to go backwards. I'd rather move forward.
Well, I think
And
if you're going to name,
so,
if
are
you're
you
going to
okay
name,
if we just file the DOJ complaint and leave it at that?
well, I'm good with that, but I think the
Okay.
DOJ complaint should also mention Delenia as a
Okay,
participant.
well, we'll leave that up to the lawyers. That's why they get paid the big bucks. So, Saoirse, you're good with that? Are you here?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
And I'm good with that. Thank
Okay,
you.
fantastic. Woohoo! I'm so excited about that. You have no idea. Okay, so just a quick reminder, and Stephen's gonna have the floor here in a minute. We did 2 years ago voted on doing a historical project, which regarding the Whitaker, and we agreed to pay a professor that's from, oh, he's a beaver, from Oregon State University, and it's football season, from Oregon State University, and he actually is going to be here, I believe, next month to present that to us, which is really exciting. It came up at a time when people were talking about changing the name of the Whitaker and all of that, but we do still owe a remaining balance of $1,250. We already voted on that. That's already a done deal. I just want to make everybody aware of the fact that I'm going to have Drew write out a check so that we can pay our bills. So I forwarded you all an email earlier, and I would assume when she says board members, do you guys get emails from Cindy Kohler? They go to everyone, right? Okay. So they are now starting to request what the city needs from us, like hours, which is, I'm gonna assume, and Claire, maybe you could answer this. Does that mean from April?
I don't know. She said for the last year. Personally, I'm just gonna go with whatever our assumption is of what that means, unless we want to dig in with Cindy about what that means. I mean, like, I thought that the email didn't really have great explanation of like which dates that was between. Like, is it a board year? Is it a fiscal year? Is it just like 1 year ago from today?
Okay, I'll find that out.
Okay. And then on the hours topic, I think, well, I know I sent out an email a few months ago, more than a few months ago, probably just encouraging folks to, keep track of their own volunteer hours spent on WCC stuff. Doesn't have to be exact. An approximation is fine. And Margaret, I recall in a previous meeting, you said the importance of that is that dictates some of the funding that neighborhood associations get. So it is quite important. And I guess I personally am a little bit frustrated that, like, on the city's end of things, they haven't created a foolproof system for collecting those hours, other than like an email that doesn't really have exact parameters of what to give them. But I think I'll save my soapbox speech for another time. But yeah, just let me know what you hear back from Cindy.
I'll email Cindy and CC you on the conversation so we can both see, and if you have any questions, you can ask those. I do have, and I don't know if you know the question, but does that include volunteer hours? Like, what about Julie? Julie has put in so many, I mean, she did all of that summer stuff.
That would probably be another question to loop in, because technically Julie is a part of the Whitaker Community Council, right?
Yeah, because she's on a committee.
Yeah, so I would ask just, which personnel whose volunteer hours touched the WCC does it include, number one, and then number two, what is the definition of the year?
Fantastic. And there's also, and you and I will follow up on that together. I'll try to get to it. I actually have to go to Portland tomorrow. If I don't get to it this week, I'll do it the first part of next week. I'll email her.
Okay.
And there was an email about, so when we take a meeting and we post it to YouTube, do we delete it out of the Zoom account? Anand, do you know?
So I'm not really sure what she's talking about with that. As far as I know, when we post something up on YouTube, YouTube just has it. In terms of the Zoom account, I'm not sure how to take something off of it. I'm not.
All right.
I'm not sure.
Claire?
I didn't know there was actually anything on it as such. I mean, if we record it and I download it, I've got it on my hard drive, and then I post it up on YouTube. But I didn't. I had no idea that Zoom actually kept a copy of any of that.
Yeah, me either.
I don't know anything about it.
Do
Sorry.
you know, Claire?
I am not sure. I'm actually trying to find the email where Cindy mentioned Zoom. That if you could forward that to me so I could just kind of dig into it and see what
Great.
she
And
said.
if you need a passcode or whatever, or if you already can just get into Zoom, then great. Whatever
Well,
we need to do to get our stuff out.
But did Cindy mention that Zoom question in an email to you, or where was that brought up? I just can't
Yes,
find
it was sent in an email.
Okay.
She said there's 16 or 60 meetings, but I don't know. Again, like
Yeah.
you had stated, I don't know if that went to everyone, to every neighborhood association, or if that was just directly to us.
Can you forward that to me when you get a chance?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And if I took a wild guess, it would probably be that the Zoom might have like, a storage capacity, and insofar as the city pays for Zoom, they're probably trying to clear that storage capacity up. So, and this is just, again, guesswork, but the city probably is wanting to encourage neighborhood associations to have those files downloaded locally rather than relying on their storage in the Zoom. That's just my guess, but I'll dig into it more.
Thank you. Yeah, it says in the email that it's starting to get full and it's affecting whatever they're doing. So, okay. I think that's I'm sure there's more announcements, but Stephen, you have the floor. If you just want to tell us a little bit, please, about the historical project.
I will, yeah. Sometime in the next few days, Margaret is going to be sending to each of you the final report from Professor Dr. David Lewis on the history project. And it's just making sure that the last I's are dotted and T's are crossed. So we'll be sending that to you. I want to tell you a little bit about it so that you can know what it is you're looking when you get it. It's about 199 pages, 200-page report. Quite a lot of that's pictures, but there is a ton of stuff. There was way more information than we had thought based on what other academics had told us. So the scope got quite a lot bigger than we'd expected over the 2-year period that we were working on it. It all started back in June 2020 when a delegation came to the Whitaker Council wanting to change the name of the community. There was a 2-to-1 informal quiz on Facebook, and there were 2-to-1 vote in favor of changing the name of the neighborhood. But it was decided that we didn't really know enough about our history to really make a decision. So I volunteered to start researching the neighborhood. The report that you'll look at is a research report, not a narrative report. So don't be surprised if there's some repetition. The material that's been discovered about interactions between the native people of this area and the people who came from the eastern part of the United States in the mid-19th century. Anything that related to that was found by Dr. Lewis was gathered together and put in different subject headings, and the different, if something occurs in more than one subject heading, it appears more than once. So who is Dr. Lewis? He is a professor at Oregon State of anthropology and indigenous studies. He was one of the 3 Kalapuya elders mentioned in an article by the Emerald about 3 or 4 years ago as being Kalapuya elders in the area. Like many people whose ancestors were at the Grand Ronde reservations his ancestors come from a number of different tribes. It's Kalapuya Santiam family, part of the family, the Takelma tribe down in the Rogue River area, and the Chinook on the Lower Columbia. So his ancestors were all at the Grand Ronde, many of whom were interviewed by anthropologists and ethnographers. And the history work that he was doing uncovered a lot of references to people that were actually in his family. So it's very interesting. He had strong personal interest in the work that he was doing. So it's not a narrative report. It's not easy to read. It's a research report to tell us what information is available. It will provide the material for publishing something. David Lewis believes that there's enough for a book. Some conversations I've come across have been part of is talking about the advantage of a graphic historical novel to broaden the demographic appeal of the report. I want to thank the other members of the Informal Social Justice Committee of Whitaker who helped review the draft reports when they came in. Sterling work done by Drew, thank you. Delania also helped with the report, and Claire gave us a good overview of it, and it was very helpful. And we've had several rounds of fixing stuff so that we have a good report. There's a lot of interest in it throughout Lane County. The History Museum wants to do an exhibit of this material like they had of Black Eugene a couple of years ago. The Eugene City and Lane County want to do more informational postage, information stuff around the place. And Wilma Lane Rec District is also interested in it. And a lot of people want to fill out their diversity, equity, and inclusion trainings of staff. And this has been a missing piece for quite a while. So we're definitely on the map as the sponsors of this research. And the front page of the report does mention that it was commissioned by us. The Whitaker Council is clearly seen as having taken the lead on this. Even though we have come across a lot of information, there is still quite a few unknowns, which is always the case with this historical research. There's always things that you're not going to be able to get to the bottom of the story, and the research will continue. I will continue research. David Lewis, no doubt, will continue research on his own work. He has a website where he posts all of the research that he has on the Kalapuya people, the people of the Willamette Valley, and it's the go-to resource. And I have previously sent out the URL for that for his website that has all his information. He may post the information on there at some point, but it needs a lot of work on his part before it's publishable in that way. Is there anybody in the call who would have a problem with a 9 meg file being sent to them by email? Does that strain anybody's computer system? 9 megabytes.
Is that a lot?
It used to be. I mean, it was for my old laptop, but it's definitely not now. I mean, the alternative is to put it on a shared drive somewhere and send a link to it. But I think most people have computers now that can handle a 9 meg file.
Doriandra, can you put it in the Google Drive and send everyone? Does everyone have access to that?
Yeah, that's our preferred communication and storage, Stephen. So if you wanted to pass it to me, I can load it into the drive and get us all on it.
Great. I will send it to Doriandra, and then Doriandra maybe you can notify the board members, since I don't have emails for the board, that it's there. We have until you've been given plenty of time, because I had agreed with Margaret that we would invite Dr. Lewis to address a full Whitaker Council meeting on November 8th. And invited Dr. Lewis to speak to the November 8th meeting, and he accepted. So between now and then, if you find the opportunity to look the report over and then contact me directly if you have any questions or suggestions or observations, I would appreciate that. Also, if you find any internal references or any cross references within it that are screwed up, let me know those, because I'm going to start compiling an errata list so that if and when in time in the future there's an updated version done, then we'll have the list of any errors that we found. So please forward that to me and with your observations, if you would, and I will attempt to answer any questions you have before it goes to the full council membership. It's I think helpful for you to know what it is and to have seen it before people start asking you about it. It's not, there is some startling stuff in there. I mean, mid-19th century, there was a lot of strong views about native people of this area, and some people were quite overt in expressing those views. So if you have sensitivity there, there can be triggering stuff, and bear in mind that it's uncensored. Whatever people were saying at that time is in this research report, because what people thought and how they thought about these things at that time were as much part of history as the actual things that happened at the time. So fortunately, there's no massacres that we've uncovered. There's no major thing. There's nothing in this area like what happened down in the Rogue River area. So not like that. It's more like people's views. They're probably still around in certain sectors, but it can be somewhat triggering for some people. Let's see, it's pretty much it.
Thank you for all. I know you put a lot of hard work and effort into this, and it's much appreciated. And I think it will go much farther than any of us had really anticipated when it first started.
Lane County and the city will be doing much of our outreach work for us, which is kind of cool. That a lot of agencies are going to be picking up and running with it, which is exactly one of the reasons why we wanted to get this moving. It tells us more than just about our neighborhood. There's a lot of information around Eugene itself, but Eugene didn't exist at that time. Lane County hadn't really come into existence then. So you're dealing with the very early part of the settler experience here. And David's research is primarily focused on the native people's side of the equation. And he has not spent a lot of time going into the settler stuff. That's the stuff that I've been wrestling with on behalf of the Human Rights Commission. Trying to dig through the settler mythology, the stories that people used to tell each other, that in most cases were total crap. References to scalping and tomahawks, whooping, pipes of peace, and all this sort of stuff that was just like making the settlers seem like brave, valiant pioneers as they were celebrated, and people that they came across. Many people thought they were one thing that people actively said in the newspapers at the time, that just annihilation was going to solve the problem. So there was really a lack of awareness on many people's views that these were actually human beings. They were. It was quite an interesting time, and here we've got a snapshot into this particular period.
I do have one question for you, Stephen, just because I was at the beginning when this started and when we had the meetings, and we had so many people that just came and everybody had a different agenda and all of that as far as Eugene and the Whitaker. And was there any historical data on the Black people that were the settlers here, or is it predominantly all Native American?
Much of the Black history of Eugene is known, and they've
Right,
been
but I
the
just want to know
exhibits.
if there was any in this report.
Not in this report. There's references to some of the encampments where people who were not allowed to be in the city after dark, and tribal
Right.
people and white people who married tribal people who were
Okay.
also excluded. So these external things, but the information is not really there's not in the report about Ferry Street Village closed down and stuff like that.
All right. Well, let's leave
that
some
wasn't
stuff.
part of that wasn't the scope of David Lewis's report, but I've got a lot of that from my work for the Human Rights Commission on the history.
I was just curious. All right. Well, we look forward to hearing from him. So I did get an email. Did everyone? And Stephen, thank you again for all of your hard work. I know you've worked.
Well,
really
thank you everybody for voting the budget for it 2 years ago.
Yes.
There's $105 left in that budget, so that probably doesn't go very far these days, but there will be $105 after we've paid this invoice for David Lewis.
I think somebody else spent that money. There was an email sent out earlier by Anand, a memorandum on trauma from WCC Health and Safety Committee. Did everyone get an opportunity to read that? So I'm going to guess that that's a no. So what I would like to do is I would like to ask that, especially since we're barely at a quorum today, that you all take the time to read that memorandum and to go through it, and we will bring it up. Actually, I think it's a good thing to maybe bring up at the general meeting and talk about. And I know that Anand and Stephen have worked on it and they want to put it on the website. So please, between now and the general meeting, if you could all take the time to go through that and read it, and we'll bring that up, Anand, at the next meeting, if that's okay with you. So I know Doriandra and Anand have a lot to go over with the grant. She has a very good program for us. So Doriandra, we're going to hand it off to the two of you.
Okie dokie. Thanks, Margaret.
All yours. Have fun.
Okay. First, I just want to take a moment and thank Anand for the incredible hard work of leading the public health and safety campaign or committee and all the different campaigns that we worked on. It's just been amazing to work with his leadership, and I'm sad to see you go, but we'll keep on trucking. Yep, it's okay. But thank you, Anand. I appreciate it. It's been really lovely working with you. So we've got some things in the queue here for this disaster, excuse me. We named it the Whitaker Disaster Resiliency Program. And there's a couple big things coming up in terms of budget, which I want to go over with. But first, I'd like to just trick through the 4 pillars or kind of goalposts of the plan so far. Some of the partnerships I was trying to really develop with community organizations have not been as expandable as I thought, and it really kind of comes down to leaning on the CERT local teams, which I found to be incredibly communicative and eager to help. I finished my training with them last week. It's 20 hours online and 15 in person at the fire station. I know everyone's super busy, but if you all have the chance to do that, or anyone, it's really worth doing. So there was a person in the class from one of our local restaurants on Blair, and so I'll be working with the CERT division leader for the Whitaker to kind of co-locate plans and kick some ideas around. So that's my update on partnerships thus far. We're still kind of paused with the Eugene mission to see what they would potentially need to do. Although they're so, I believe that it's going to be kind of inclusive of their clients and their residents, and so kind of leans back to the original plan of leaning on businesses to see where and what our Whitaker businesses can allocate or do in emergencies. So to that, I want to go ahead and share this initial reach out, if I can, to businesses and see where we can get that ball rolling quickly. Just bear with me. Here it is. Okay, let's go here. And sorry, folks. Let's go. All right, we're going to go right there. Oh, darn. I plead COVID brain. Sorry, folks. All right. Try that again.
You sound so much better than you did last week.
Oh, yeah, I'm not coughing up lung parts much better. Okay, so this is the preliminary draft. It's pretty much done, ready to go. I'm super interested to get input from Derek and some of our other local folks about what they can do. You know, I'm trying to imagine that in the hours leading after a disaster, we have places that we can identify on resource maps for the neighborhood. So I'm hoping our businesses can kind of identify which things they could be supportive during. And those parameters have to do with the types of buildings they own, the type of business they're operating, a lot of different variables there. But some of the main questions are, you know, can your business serve as a temporary hub for residents? Could you offer shelter? Could you provide food and or water? If so, what does that look like? Also, does your business have the capacity to loan bicycles or small watercraft for water or trail delivery of resources? Does your business have sources like solar power that you could offer for residents to charge phones? Also, do you have basic stuff for storage? And I figure if some businesses are able to do, for instance, a temporary shelter, we would want to know, can you keep on track 100 survival blankets or such like that? And then it just kind of goes into, you know, do you have specific trail assets or training already in place for your staff or employees? And then also, do you have forms of business modalities that allow for communication to larger communication central disaster units? So it's long and arduous. I'm sorry. Hope I didn't bore everybody, but that's kind of a rough plan as to begin to engage our community. So when we think about the 4 pillars of this project, that's really one of them. Is a huge one is creating these resource maps. Second part of it is creating a hazard map, because if we can spend some time in the beginning days here as we launch, reaching out to community about site-specific issues, train derailment, we have water flooding, all the things that are prevalent in the Whitaker that will happen in emergencies. We want to train our community what those are. So then the second part of this is looking at your family plans. And I'm excited to kind of get the ball rolling about community events, because we are funded to do that. And these would be held in Scobert Park. And they essentially could have 2 parts of them. One, we're going to work on community events that teach people to activate emergency plans for their families. Where will your children come? Who's picking up this person? How are we getting to this point? So if families are strong in that immediate point of after disaster, that's a huge benefit. The second part of that would be to build our emergency kits. And so we have funding that OHA approved. There are 2 parameters within that, and these are both incredible activities for a community event that WCC could have. The 2 budget categories there are for the gift cards, and that could be for if you come to this event, first 100 people get a $100 gift card to go straight over to Brun's Red Apple and buy the basic parts of your survival kit. Second part of that would be actually us providing a basic starter emergency kit, which we also have funding to do. So that's going to take some kind of resource and clever spending or purchasing. I'm hoping that the OHA will be able to provide elements of that because there are other grant cohorts that are working in the spectrum of the state of Oregon. And if you all remember, we had those incredible canvas bags during the clinics that were the Safe and Strong that had the basic PPE elements. So we may have some resourcing, and we also have money to buy stuff. So with those kind of 4 pillars that include a large degree of social media posting for basic informative aspects of this, and then the community events, I think we're in good place to have this rolled out soon. We're super excited to have the social media person in search here, so because that'll be a large part of it. So the couple of things that I want to just run through, Drew and I were going to show you the budget, and actually I have that on the screen, so I'll share that. That's easy to grab. And this is a budget that we did discuss as a board, but we did finally get solid approval back from OHA to do this. And so I just kind of want to go over it with all and see that everyone agrees. And then if we have consensus, we have to spend this money. I believe the total of this is $11,250. We have to spend this by the end of December. So with the elements of this plan in place and your approval, we can get started and get the ball rolling. So just a quick overview. We'll start at 3 here for equipment. This is where we folded in emergency supplies, kits for distribution. And these would be those starter kind of elements, which then we can offer people the gift cards to further build for their individual families and whatnots. And this is in category 6 down here. We have 1,000 for the gift cards. Moving on then, sorry, I'm jumping around. Let's go back up to 3. This is the allocation. It's about $2,000 there. We may pull some of that money out for a proper printer for Drew that would be owned by WCC, which would help him in his check writing for the organization. But roughly we've got about 2,000 there for starter kits. The 185 is really incidental. That would be for business supplies. We don't really need to worry about that for this program. But then down here we've got the 1,000 for the gift cards. And if everyone has, if I could get approval from folks, we could pause right there. Do we feel good about spending that money on gift cards for Brun's Red Apple, simply because they seem to be the place where people could buy the most elements for their go bags?
Could I ask a question here, and perhaps someone knows better than I do? What I think would be the best time, and we've already voted on things that are similar to this. Is everyone comfortable with Dorandra just going through the budget, us voting on what's going to be spent on what, and then allowing the Health and Safety Committee to distribute that money? Does that make sense? Or does everyone want to go through each piece by piece by piece and every dollar and vote on every dollar of the budget?
I think it's counterproductive to do it. We shouldn't micromanage this. So I think just to sketch the outlines, and it'll be obvious if it makes sense or not. So
I agree, and that's what we did with the rest of with the housing money that was left. If you all remember, we had so much time to spend that money, and we all voted to just leave that up. to that committee, and as long as they just stayed within that budget, then we said go. And we don't need to be micromanaged. And Andrew, you're doing a fantastic job. So you're not boring anybody. You're not.
Okay.
You're doing great. Thank you.
You're doing great, girl. You're doing great.
We're really lucky to have you. So are you comfortable with just going through what you're going to spend the money on,
Sure.
and then us just voting on that total amount?
Sure.
And if that changes, I do believe, like, if you go from $1,000 worth of gift cards to $2,000, and you need to take that out of one part of the budget and put it on another, I do believe that we need to bring that back to the board for a vote.
Okay.
If there's a significant change based on what we have done in the past.
Correct.
But once we just go through and vote on it all,
Okay.
then you know, you do what you know how to do best.
Perfect. Thank you. I will say right now that the only significant change to what we're looking at here, and this, I will have to take this back to OHA and get this approved as well as approved with you folks, is that, you know, if we go down here to the section 7, the subcontracts, I really overestimated community partnership here because I was allocating money in case the Kenzie River Keepers or the Willamette River folks or Best or, you know, would want to have like paid speakers that would help educate us about our community and risks and whatnot. And I'm finding that what I'd like to do instead of this allocation here, we've got 1,500 in this line, move most or all of that money into a new salary position for the social media person we're looking for. Because I don't see, like, I want to keep this 500 for Shift Community Bicycles because I believe that we can really do an overlay between thinking about bicycles as the best modality of travel. If we lose our roads, our infrastructure, it's bikes will be king. So I want to keep that money in that section. But like this 200 right here to engage with the fire department or the CERT, they're going to come free. They want us to be prepared. They don't want us to have to spend grant money on their educators talk to us. So this is the only section that I see like fluidity in. And so if it's okay with you all, I have a meeting with OHA tomorrow and I want to just talk to them about that and say, look, we need to make this correction and we want to spend the money to be pushing the massive resources that, you know, we're gathering here as a board to our community through social media. So is that okay with everybody? Good. Yeah, I can't imagine you'd say no, because we want to pay somebody and we want to get that rolling. So, okay, excellent. I don't see really any other things in here that need to be.
So the storage unit for equipment and events kit, is that our current storage? Is that a separate one?
That's our current storage. We're paid all the way through, I think, February. So this is
but that 865, that's to pay us past that, or I'm confused.
no, we had to let me grab that paperwork. I'll tell
Or
you.
are we paying ourselves back what we already paid?
No, this is money we've already spent for the
Okay.
storage unit. So
And we took it out of this budget, out of this money, right? Okay,
correct.
great.
Yeah, it has to be part
All
of
right, that's all right.
Can I ask you what we're storing in the storage unit?
Sadly, not that many things, given how much was lost with our Eugene Mission storage. But we do have boxes of PPE. We have our chairs that we purchased for the clinics that we will be using for our disaster resiliency events. We've got hand sanitizer forever. We have a list. Derek, you were there. We moved that stuff together. Saoirse, what the heck did we move? We had 2 truckloads of stuff. We had Derek's truck and Thea's truck loaded. So
lots of chairs. You're right. A lot of PPE
Some
stuff.
canopies.
yes, the canopies, right.
Definitely a canopy, some tables.
Yep, we have the plastic bin of our the PPE supplies, 5-gallon bucket of locks and chains that we used to tie up the
Hand
that kind of
sanitizer
stuff.
stations.
And
Yeah.
the like,
Sandwich boards.
yeah, the stations.
Right. And then so that storage will also hold all of this new emergency prep go bag materials and resources we'll be acquiring.
Until we distribute it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to assume that annual fee of $865.
Yes. Yeah, sorry, that's what I was looking for, the contract. We are paid up until let me see. We bought 6 months and looks like we are paid through February of 2024.
So is this 865 for 6 months or for 12 months?
Let's see. I'm gonna suck at math real quick here. 6, 12, 24, 25, 6, 7, 8. We bought 100, each month is $146, and we bought 6 months.
This is 6 months, yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of excessive, you know. I pay, I have a storage unit and I pay $72 a month for it.
It was tragic. Yeah, we could not find any affordable or available storage in the entire winter, so they had us over a barrel. But Drew, I have this paperwork for you. I finally found it.
I would like to propose, and I know the lady that runs the storage place that's that right as you come around and Chambers turns into River Road. You know, it's actually considered the Whitaker. There's boats and cars and all of that out there. Does everyone know where I'm talking about?
Yes.
It's really close. So how about if I make myself a note and I call her tomorrow and get us on a list? I've had stuff in storage there for 10 years.
That would be great, Margaret, to get on the list.
So it's closer.
Yeah.
All right, Claire, you have your hand up?
Yeah, just on the note of, way back when we used to do clinics and there's storage of stuff, if there's room in the funds to get more COVID tests for people, the federal government is going to start providing free tests again to households starting this Monday, the 25th. And so I think that we should take note and start doing that for our community as well. I got a request from someone in our neighborhood that knows, like, I'm on the council, and was like, oh, do you all still have free COVID tests that I could pick up? So there's still the need for them, even though it's not so, prominent. I think that if possible, we should continue to include those in what we offer as a community council.
I would agree with that, and COVID is rearing its ugly head again. I bet I know 10 people that have it right now.
Yes. And just a point on that, OHA has been trying to get all of the CBOs restocked. So I keep asking every week when we have our big CBO grant meetings, and they are trying to do it, but they're very scarce. It's really funny. Like CBOs up in Portland, someone will be like, oh, I've got 20, and then they all rush over and they get them from each other. But we're kind of standalone in Eugene. So, but they do know we need more. So we'll keep pushing on with that.
So you're already on that. Is that what you're saying, Doriandra?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Do you have anything else to go over on the budget? That's all of it right there?
That is it. Yeah, that's it. We'll need to spend down this 11,250 by December 31st. And then I do just want to follow up quickly about the potential for more funding with this allocation of public health modernization grant that we're looking at. I'll just turn this off here because I think we're done with this budget.
Well, why don't we put that back up there before we vote?
Okay. Oh, sorry. Right. Let's go back there.
Yeah, we need to.
I just wanted to tell you guys, though, that we did get some good news from OHA. We will know in November now what this refunding will look like. Not refund, but new funding towards this same grant. So I'm excited about that because by the time we have it pretty much launched and moving along nicely by the end of the year, we'll have a new amount to work with that will come for January through June 2025. So
Okay, great. So I make a motion that we accept Doriandra's budget as is, with the exception that we change that $1,500 to pay educators, which will, I can tell you, they will do that stuff for free anyways. They will be happy to be part of some type of coalition. That we take that $1,500 and we divert that to a social media person instead. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Great. All those in favor? You can take it off now, Doriandra, so we can see.
Okay.
So Claire can get a good count.
I've got it.
Yeah, I think everybody voted yes. All right. Doriandra, do you have anything else?
Just one super neat fun thing. I just want to thank Drew for alerting me to this really interesting group called the Disaster Relief Trails. And thank you, Claire, for connecting that dot further. I think we may be in a good place with them. They're just this really cool group of people that take bikes with trailers and plan for moving relief supplies around the city, the Whitaker. And so they had kind of fallen out of their practice, but it looks like we may be able to pick up some of those dots and work with them. So I'm super excited about that. And then the other thing was also working both Mackenzie River keepers, although not in our area, but still of that mindset. And then the Upper Willamette Soil and Water Conservation District were also interested in small watercraft, again, using those to move around if in cases the bridges are collapsed and we're literally divided by a giant river. So really kind of neat, fun stuff coming up. So thanks for your time.
Sorry, I have one more point. It's not even a point, it's just kind of, I guess, something to note, but like, I would be interested if any of these groups that you're talking to bring up the hospital topic and how if the bridges go down, that is going to be a huge issue for people on the wrong side of the river, if a certain hospital is to close. So
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's mind bending.
That's a good point, and I will tell you, I think I forwarded it to everyone, but Claire Syrette actually emailed us, and she is working with a group of nurses to do something with the hospital downtown, and asked that we put it on our website, as well as that we share it on our Facebook group. And I probably should have asked, but I just said no problem because I assumed that everybody would think just like what you just said, Claire. What happens if the bridges go down and we can't get to a hospital? Because there's nothing on this side. And we do stuff for local nonprofits and people all the time and don't talk about it. So, okay. Doriandra, thank you for all of your wonderful work. We're very lucky to have you. Drew, thank you again as well. Dan, I believe that you have a treasurer's report. We can't hear you.
I do have a treasurer's report, so pull some things up here. So I want to have a couple of checks that belong to us. One's from Oakshire for $200, and I have one from the Network for Good for $4. And so, who wants them? Who should I give these to?
Dan,
Yes.
you would give them to Drew.
Okay, I'll do that.
Don't they need to be endorsed by somebody with a signing authority?
I don't know. Can we deposit online? Like I take pictures of, oh. Yeah, I guess you need to give them to me, Dan.
All right, I'll do that.
Also, may I interject?
Please.
And Margaret, we owe Dan a check as well as the Human Rights Commission. So let's touch base afterwards about a potential rendezvous in the morning to move some.
I'll be in Portland in the morning.
What time are you leaving?
I'm leaving early and I'll be up there all day. I have doctor's appointment.
Oh, okay, maybe the day after.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll figure it out this week.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay.
I know there's a few checks. All right. Anything else, Dan?
Yeah. So we were able to file our currently past due but now accepted CT12 recently, and I got an acceptance email from the Secretary of State about last week about that, which I forwarded to you. So they accepted our 2021 tax return. And so my question is, has our 2021 tax return actually been filed yet?
No.
It has not.
Okay, I heard you talking about, this is the one from Moxy, isn't it, that had all the snafus, isn't it?
Correct. And we just voted, and Drew is now going to work on that and get that done ASAP.
Okay, super. So just so you know, the state of Oregon accepted our draft copy of that, so I think we can let that go. But our real actual IRS filing will be different. And we can file an amendment with the state at a later time when that is all due. Process, I should say. So how are we doing with the 2022 return? Or is that even due yet? Is that due in mid-23, which is just passed, actually? Isn't it? How is the 2022 return going?
That would be a question for Drew.
Will I intend to have it done and ready to review in 72 hours?
Oh, okay. No big hurry on that. I have in my hand a letter from the Oregon DOJ about our annual report being due on November 15th. And it needs to include our 990, which would be our 2022 IRS filing. So whenever you have that ready to go, just shoot it my way and I'll go ahead and file this. But it is due by November 15th, just to let you know.
I'm well aware of the deadlines
Okay.
as a tax professional.
Super. Let's see. I have another request from the Treasury Department, from the IRS to the WCC, which is asking for a confirmation of electronic filing for our 21 return, I believe it is. So you haven't actually filed it yet, I believe, isn't it? Is that right?
That's correct. We just voted to pay Drew to complete it because we were waiting to find out if it was correct or not, which it wasn't. And I'm sure he'll send that to you as soon as it's filed.
Okay, great. If you could make a note to send me the confirmation of electronic filing, and then I'll forward it to the IRS in response to their letter. Okay, thank you, Drew.
And we need to get all of this too in our Google Drive. So if you all could, Claire, are you okay with being CC'd on that to put it in the Google Drive as a secretary?
Sorry, this is the second 2-hour board meeting I've been in today. My brain's kind of mush. Can you repeat what you want me to do?
Well, we need to get all of this stuff in our Google Drive. We need to get that our 990 was accepted. We need to get our taxes in the Google Drive. We need to have all that stuff so it's accessible for future boards. You know, we need to try to keep all the information in one place. When I first started, I had to go through emails all the way back to 2016 to find out information that was not in the drive because it was omitted. Some of it, you know, I don't know why. I'm not even gonna guess. Or I could ask Randra to do that if everyone's comfortable with that.
So as secretary, I've not been touching anything financial. I've been touching notes.
No, I'm just talking about filing stuff in the drive. That's all.
Yeah, I don't have like a login to the drive. I feel like the logins have changed so frequently. Like I have my drive where I keep like files that I've created for the notes, but like I don't have unless you want to like send me the drive link and I can like see if I have access, but last time I checked, I'm not included in any like in-depth Google Drive for
Oh,
WCC.
you should have access to all Google Drive. Doriander, can you make sure that she does?
Yeah, it doesn't really work like that. As you make a document or a file or a folder, individual people are shared on it. So I don't have like control over the Whitaker Community Council Google Drive. I'm just shared on many, many, many things, and I contribute many things and then share it with you guys. So I can't really just grant her.
So someone has an admin role and we need to, I mean, I guess that would be from your emails, my Margaret, or not your email, but the Whitaker Community Council at gmail.com.
Either that or it's Den because Delinia gave it to him. Is that you, Den?
Well, this is what my comment I wanted to make is that I think it should be the responsibility of whatever executive committee member generates a document, for whether it's the treasury or the secretary, that they are responsible for uploading it to the Google Drive. So, ditto for the chair and the vice chair, whoever generates a document and is responsible for a document stream, they are responsible for uploading it to the Google Drive.
I
So
like that because it just takes one, like it's one less step. Like if someone's creating a document, then they should have access to put that document directly into the drive where it belongs.
And I think I have access to do that. So I will do that for all of these documents from the Treasury side. That's my responsibility. My only issue with that is will future treasurers know to do that, and I think they have to know that that's on the responsibility list. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we decided a long time ago that with the Google Drive that the whole board would have access to all the documents that are in there. And so I don't know exactly how that works. And it used to be that I could go into, when Ian was the chair, I could go in the Google Drive and see everything.
We can all do that now, can't we?
I don't know. I haven't been in. I'm busy doing other things, but Claire just said she can only see what has her name.
Well, I haven't had a need to, because like I said, I access my note document and that's about it. So if someone, yeah.
Saoirse, have you been in the Drive?
I also haven't had a need to, but everyone can go into the Drive by logging into Gmail with the Whitaker Community Council email. And those passwords are up to date on the sheet. I just added it to my phone today. And then you can click over to the Drive and see everything that we have. One thing that we could do so that we can just like grant people permission, like blanket permission, is to make like shared drive folders. And when you have shared drive folders, then you can remove someone from an entire drive, and it'd be really good for this type of board transition year to year.
I agree. I don't think it's a very good system to have to share out a login information, an email to Gmail that like requires you to log in to view the drive. It's kind of backwards. I think instead there should be a shared Google Drive that is what Saoirse said basically.
I thought that's what we had, but as you all know, I'm not the most I'm a little ignorant when it comes to.
And it's not your fault, because I think just kind of continuity between the boards for the last handful of years has been kind of a circus, and so I wouldn't be surprised if something got lost in the sauce. And so I can look into it when I have more brain cells.
Okay, that would be great. And we also, like you all said, I'm also trying to lay. I think it's important that we lay a foundation for the future board. I have some ideas. We need more board members. That was something I wanted to talk about today. I don't know that we're going to have time, but we need more board members. We need to start taking the social media person, whoever that is, and have them promoting exciting things that we're doing, like Doriandra's program, and see if we can get volunteers that live within the neighborhood to come to meetings and participate on the Health and Safety Committee, so that they can vote, so that they can run. We need to put a lot of this negativity behind us, and let's move forward and have some fun. I mean, we actually have the possibility to make some real changes and have fun while we're doing it. Dan, are you
Well, I've got a couple of other points here. So I have a billing here from the Eugene Area Chamber of Commerce. And
Yeah,
it's
I already told them no.
okay. It's addressed to Ian Winbrock, so you can tell how old that is. All right, that's done.
She
Okay,
sends me
so
an
the
email every
IRS
day trying to talk me into joining the Chamber of Commerce. We have to,
It's $475. That's what they want from us.
right. We have to
Okay.
put ourselves together first before we do that. And I just made that
Totally.
choice. We didn't
Okay.
even know how much money we had when they started after me. I didn't even know that we had enough money to get through our grant. That's how long they've been emailing me and asking me.
All right. Okay, a couple of final points here is that, are you interested in hearing about notices that come across our P.O. box of Eugene City Council decisions on Greenway Code amendments?
I get that all comes in an email. I actually forward a lot of that stuff.
Okay. Are you interested in hearing about the Skinner's Butte Downtown Riverfront Height Code amendments?
That all comes in an email too.
All right. Let's see. This is an old bill from QSL Printing, I think. That is from July. I think you paid that for $62, and we're done.
All right. Thank you very much. Your work is appreciated.
Thank you.
Drew, do you have any updates for us?
I'll be in soon. Okay.
Well, we in spite of absorbing some misbegotten money from a grant fund, as previously mentioned, and needing to spend $11,250 by the end of the year, have in fact a surplus in our account of about $32,500. So we should be able to spend down that $11,250 in spite of not having received all of that money from OHA yet, and know that we'll be rolling into the future with some of this 10% slush, or think of it as a general fund cushion for us getting into the new year and a whatever other potential grant money comes our way.
Fantastic. So, quick question for you. When do you think the 2021 taxes will be filed?
Notes I've seen from here, there, and a bit of everywhere suggest that, well, I need to have an e-file authorization signed, which will be one of you, likely Dan. But also it is that note I saw and I'm referring to is such that the treasurer will review the return before it's sent.
Okay.
Which is fine. It's mostly, the 21 return is mostly done. I've got little two tedious items to have a look at before we actually make that, get it out the door.
Fantastic. And you can do that with Dan, and then you said that the 22 is almost ready as well.
No.
Correct.
Fantastic. All right. Do you have anything else?
Nope, that's it.
I knew you were the right man for the job. Okay. Anand, do we still have you on? Anand. So those of you that do not read your email or haven't seen, Anand, his life has taken a direction where he needs to focus on some other things. And after how many years have you been on the board?
Off and on for about 20, I'd say.
Well, then this may not be the last of you, is what you're telling me.
Well, it just depends.
Right, I understand, and I can tell you it's been a pleasure working with you all of this time, and I spent all of COVID on the Health and Safety Committee. And I mean that's where stuff gets done, and it's been great, and you will be missed, very much so. So that being said, we voted a few months ago on the grants that we have now are all going through the Health and Safety Committee. So my understanding is that the Health and Safety Committee consists of Anand, Stephen, and Doriandra, and sometimes Thea. Is that correct?
Right. I was trying to get Thea to kind of take it over, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
Okay. So you can continue to talk about that and see what happens there.
Yep.
But if not, we need an actual board member to step up and to be able to just facilitate that meeting, so that Doriandra has been with us over 2 years as well, and she does a fantastic job, and we have money coming in. Not only do we have money for our community, and we're doing some fantastic things. Right now is Emergency Preparedness Month, for those of you that don't know, and that's part of what I do for a living. I mean, I know what a go kit is. I know what happens in an emergency situation. I understand that we're in a flood zone, I know about CPR and what the police department and and also we should have the sheriffs have rescue. They do whitewater rescue and water rescue and all of that, and we could talk about that later. But we need someone from the board to sit on that committee, just sit and to say, hi, yeah, I'm here, and just be part of the process. So I don't know who that's going to be. I do not have time to do that. I know that, we took some time off this summer and it was great, but I did not have that opportunity. I work more doing this than I do at my real job. And I'm really trying to switch that around. So, we're not all here, but it's something that we all really need to think about and talk about. And you guys can all email me if you want. You can email me individually, give me a call, whatever. But we really, really need some participation here, because that's where our grants are. So let's consider how that's going to continue. And what direction that we want to take with that. And we're really entering a very exciting time, because we're about to do some fun things again. So I would like to know, Derek, are you here still?
Looks like he ran off.
He actually put it that his computer died, and then he was on his phone, and I'm going to guess something happened. So the owner of the Crowan Cart, those of you that haven't met her, her name is Tina, and she's fantastic. And I think that it would be great. And I don't know if you could comment on or not, but sometime within the next month, she's offered us to have a potluck and a barbecue on the back deck. Usually she rents it out. We've talked all year about having some kind of barbecue or a potluck or something. She said we could bring a barbecue in, we can cook out there, we can do a potluck. She'll just make it just for the Whitaker Community Council. So I figure council plus one.
Where's the place, Margaret?
It's the Crowan Cart. It's across the street from Tacovore. And she's fantastic, and it's a really nice back deck, so it's outside. And we can do that before the summer ends. But if we did that, I think it would be important that the whole board showed up. And we could do it. She said the Sunday afternoon would be best for her. And she offered to do that for us for free. And we just bring our own food. Yes, Claire.
I think that's fabulous. However, I bike every day, and I'm feeling the summer having already ended. Like it's gonna be cold. So I would want to have some place where we could escape to indoors and not feel like we had to stay outside if it's like, when I think potluck barbecue, I think summer. You know what I mean?
I do. And we could always go inside. I mean, we could. It just wouldn't
Yeah.
be a private event if we went inside at her location. And we,
I think that would be okay, but maybe if she would be willing to like, reserve just like one table, I think, for our use
that
inside.
would be fine. And you know what? We'll bring a canopy. I'll stand under the canopy and barbecue. Would everybody be interested in that? I think it's a great idea. I think it's fun, and that way we don't have to go trash somebody's house. It would not be an open bar, by the way. We would have to buy our own drinks, mocktails. She makes her own grape syrup and whatever else you call them. But she's great, and it would be supportive of her, and she really wants to be supportive of us. So I think that we should schedule that for a Sunday. And I would make a motion that we can take some of that $30,000 and just buy some meat. Can we do that? Do you have a question, Claire?
Stephen actually had his hand up first, but yes, I have a question after
Yes,
that.
Stephen.
Just as a procedural thing, as a member of the general membership, is the board bound by any considerations about having meetings at which a quorum or more is present, without it being notified to the membership? I don't know whether that applies to the board of the Whitaker. I mean, I don't want to be a party.
Well, it does, and we had a quorum earlier before Derek left. But I just wanted to throw the idea out there. I think I
meant the meeting itself, like unnoticed to the membership, that more than a quorum getting together.
We're not having a meeting. It's a social gathering for the board.
Yeah. So you have
It
to be
is not a
careful
meeting.
not to discuss official business. Then it's probably okay.
Yeah. There would be no votes there. There would be no anything. I would buy Claire a beer and a shot and say, "Woohoo! It's been too long." And that would be that.
That sounds good.
And I think it should be that plus one. You can bring your significant other, and that would also include Stephen. It would include Julie. It would include anyone who's on a committee, whatever.
I don't want anybody in the Whitaker Council general membership to be complaining that the board's meeting secretly.
No, trust me, it wouldn't be a secret. Claire?
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to note that if we were planning to do this on a Sunday, the Whitaker Community Market runs through mid-October, and so if we want Saoirse to be there, then we would have to make sure to operate around that piece of information.
Well, of course we would want her there. I do know that from time to time she does try to take a day off, even though she always shows up there when it's her day off.
With 4 markets left, no, my schedule's insane. It's not possible.
All right. Well, I just wanted to put it out there, see if you all were interested, and we'll talk about it some more. I'll send out an email or something. But yes, it sounds like everybody's down for doing that. I can also talk to Ninkasi, and we can probably get the sports room.
And
but
we'll accept.
They just have beer and wine there, so that would be up to. I don't think everyone drinks just beer and wine. But it would be a social thing. And there,
accept the invitation.
There we would not barbecue. We would have to buy our food.
And just to circle back, no, we cannot use the public health equity grant to buy food for a board event. We can only buy it for our disaster resiliency events. And
no, I was talking about general funding.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you said pulling out of
out of that, however many
30,000. Nope. I'm the grant police. No, Margaret. No.
No, I was just talking about we could do a potluck and maybe pull a little bit of money. I could go buy some nice steaks and chicken and.
I misunderstood you. Yeah, we have 2 pockets of money, 30 over there and 30 that.
Yeah, what's your specialty at a potluck, Doriandra?
Oh my goodness. Baba ganoush, moussaka, like Middle Eastern yummy food.
How about you, Claire?
I like to make bacon wrapped olives.
Ooh. And Drew?
Well, a lot depends on the time of year, you know. Possibly some pasta salad, maybe some tasty baked morsels with a cream or
Nice,
jam-filled topping.
nice. We could just put canopies up out back, you know, and
Time
hanging them
of
up
time of
there.
Aren't there
year
the
actually makes me want to change my answer. If it's deep into chanterelle season, then I think my answer would change to a green bean casserole with chanterelles in it. That's my new potluck answer.
And how about you, Saoirse?
Anything with potatoes. I'm excellent at cooking potatoes. So similarly, depending on the time of year, differently cooked potatoes.
And Dan?
Oh, well, my favorite for a potluck is chickpea curry
There you go.
with cream.
And tell me, Anand, if you couldn't make it, could we bring you a couple plates and drop them off out front?
I'll never turn down food.
All right, good.
does any of us have any food allergies?
Nope. All right. So proposed October meeting. We have Stevens guy coming. He's going to talk. If you could, Stephen, you're on mute. I
It's
just need to know.
November. November he's coming, November 8th.
Oh, okay. So the November meeting. Did anyone get an opportunity to read through what Claire sent us?
I can go over that just like super briefly. I made a contact at Lane County Public Health. I know that we have discussed a lot whether or not Lane County Public Health is or is not doing something and what they're doing about unhoused folks. And so I'm just trying to kind of bridge the gap and assumptions and bring them in to, you know, ask questions in a well-behaved manner. So I would like to, if folks are interested, I would like to invite them, but they requested that I send them questions beforehand. That's the gist.
I think that sounds great. I'm happy to send questions beforehand, Claire. And thank you for sending that email again at our last meeting last week, getting that to the top of our inboxes.
So if it's at a general meeting, how do we get questions from the general public? And
don't you usually at general meetings, don't you usually let the general public like raise their hands and go before board members anyway?
Correct, but you're saying so we can do that and we'll just send them questions that board members have, but
And
also
and I can like add a caveat and just say, since it's a general meeting, please expect questions from the general public, if that sounds okay.
that's great. Dan, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I was wondering about our upcoming agendas for the next couple of months. And so I'm wondering who has scheduled time to present before the WCC at either general meetings or board meetings. And I'm wondering if in any of those blocks are Parks and Open Space. Have they asked to present or come to a meeting?
Well, that would be a question for Thea, and she isn't here today, but we can always email her and ask her. She has made it, so apparently the police department is doing some new reporting system that is for non-emergency. And she sent us emails and talked to us about it. And the police chief, it always brings in a good draw of people when the police chief comes, because people want to ask him questions. So we can do that. We can ask Parks and Open Space, and I would ask Doriandra, kicking off this grant that will be, you know, it's a month from now. Do you think that you have someone that would want to come and talk about exactly what the grant is? And, you know, to talk about what we're doing.
I think, am I understanding you right? Someone from
Like-
CERT or some other emergency planning.
Correct. Some kind of
Yes.
emergency management person come in
Absolutely.
that can, you know, have a
Yeah.
little fun with us and explain to us what their job is and what they can expect to do.
Yes, that would be excellent. I'd love that.
I personally, and you guys tell me what you think, I think that having CERT or someone like that and having someone in from Lane County Public Health,
Mhm.
I think that would make a full meeting.
That would be great.
Dan, did you have a question?
Oh, I think I asked my question. I think, yes, I did. I'm good, Margaret, thanks.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So, Claire, you're going to reach out to your person, see how much time they need. Can they take up 45 minutes? What do you think, Doriandra? Can, you know, somewhere between a half hour and 45 minutes? That gives us an hour and a half. That gives us a half hour to, you know, start, do introductions, whatever, and a half hour to close.
Sounds
That
good.
sounds like a great meeting to me.
Me too.
Any comments about that? So Anand, are you going to get the meeting posted on YouTube for us? I don't know what I'm going to do
As
without you.
usual, I will make sure that happens.
So who else knows how to post the meetings to YouTube?
Looks
With
like
an
Ken has-
updated password, that's really easy to do, and I can easily do that. It just takes like a bit of time for the video to buffer and upload.
Right.
Yeah,
I just
that's the
need
main
for
thing.
it to be
It's a long
done.
time.
Like he's done such a great job. It's up the next day after our meeting, and that's what the community expects. And that's what, you know, we're the community council. That's what we need to happen. So Saoirse, you can commit to doing that for us?
I can't commit to doing it that quickly. No, I'm sorry. I have too much going on to make that fully. I could do it later, but by the next day is, yeah.
I think by just kind of like general flow of public meetings, within a week is usually the like generally accepted timeline. So I don't think that anyone, you know, I don't think that we really it'll be a problem to not have it up directly the next day.
Well, here's part of the problem for me with that is that the more and here's what I've experienced and what I do myself. I mean, I'm guilty of this as well. Is the longer that it takes to happen, the further it gets back on my burner and the less likely I am to actually complete it.
So
And
if you're talking about like to-do items and notes, all of those are recorded by me immediately. Like the actual to-do items motions are recorded by me immediately in the minutes that I usually send out, you know, night of or the morning after. Additionally, the Fathom app that Anand found records these conversations verbatim, and
Right.
those are also in there. So like the YouTube channel is just kind of like another flavor of the conversation, but you already have both of those written, you know, searchable resources at your disposal night of or the day after.
I understand that, and I'm not talking about for me. I'm talking about for the people that live here within the Whitaker that go and watch that YouTube video, which every single month people do watch it.
Yeah.
Because I go on YouTube and I see how many are watched. I'm just saying for me, and I've experienced that here with people committing to doing something and then a week going by, 2 weeks going by, 3 weeks, a month, and it's still not done.
Well,
We really
we
do
didn't say a
need,
month.
I
We
know
said,
we're, I
yeah.
know we're, excuse me. I know we're volunteers and I know that all of our time is so precious. And I know that. Trust me. And I respect everybody here and the time that we give. I just need to make sure that it gets done. Part of my position is to delegate the duties. And it's hard because we're not all here either. So we'll talk about it at the next board meeting as well. And Saoirse, I know that you're busy and that you have a million things going on and that this is a really busy time of year for you. Are you still there with me?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, and I get all that. I know that you have a lot on your plate, and I get that. And the last thing I want to do is put something else on your plate. And you're like me, I would step up and say, yes, I'll do it. And I did that so much. And now I'm doing so much that I can't. And I'm glad that you said no rather than yes. But we just need to find someone that can do it and get it done. Because the plate doesn't stop filling up. Do you understand what I mean by that? Does that make sense? I mean, every day you get more on your plate, right? I know I do.
Are you talking
Yes,
to me
Claire.
specifically? Because
No, just in
yes,
general.
but
Actually, I was talking to you, but it's okay. Claire gets more on her plate every day too. I know she does. Claire's on a bunch of committees and she's on different boards and she has more and more and more stuff to do every day. So, what's up, Claire?
So respectfully, accepting like a no, I can't do that, and then saying, but we just need to find someone to do it is not accepting the no. Like, I think we just need to sort of like take a breather, know that like we've all kind of like been through a lot on this board and be okay with what people can and cannot do. And I'm not volunteering to do the YouTube the next day thing. I haven't heard
Right,
someone
you're
else
not.
step up to do it. Margaret, if you can do it, that would be amazing, but I'm assuming you also cannot.
Right, and what I said in premise with that is I said that a lot of the board isn't here. So we're not all here today. We actually, since Derek left, we don't even have a quorum. We can't even vote on anything. I didn't know that he left until I went to look for him. So maybe someone else on the board would agree to post it. Maybe somebody else would say yes. That's why I said we're not even all here. Maybe someone who isn't here, we can talk about it when we're all here. Maybe someone else would be like, sure, I have no problem doing that. So I accept everybody's no. Does that make sense? Thank you. Yes, Drew.
It might be we might get more traction here on uptake if Anand would tease us with an immaculate set of notes and instruction manual and how to do this chore, and we might realize that it's not such an endeavor other than to hit the record button and then hit the upload button at the to the particular device. Or maybe it is a bit more of a chore, but at this point it feels like if we were to commit to walking into a black hole and maybe having to reinvent that wheel, and I bet that wouldn't be the case.
You know what? That's a very good point. I appreciate that. And could you email that to me, Anand? And then what I will do is I will just email it to everyone on the board and ask for a volunteer.
I will do my best.
You will really be missed. Thank you very much. Does that work for everyone? And I'll just email it to everyone on the board and see if somebody will volunteer to do that. Okay. Saoirse, do you have anything to talk about?
I don't, but I appreciate you giving me the space.
All right. I think we're good. I think we're done. I think it's early. I think we even spent just a little bit of time joking around, and that was nice. All right. Have a great evening, everybody, and we will talk to you soon. Drew, I'll call you tomorrow the next day. We'll get all those checks taken care of.